Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Becoming a Better You podcast. It's your boy, Coach Paul, here live and direct from my house right now. Sometimes I'm at my gym, sometimes I'm at my house. Either way, I'm here to bring you value. As always, I love to bring amazing human beings on the platform to have conversations with and just to talk about how they're becoming better human beings, how they're helping other people become better human beings, and how as a human race we can all just become better, because that's my goal in this world, is just to help people become better. So without wasting too much time chitter chattering on a Saturday afternoon, I know we all have things to do, so I'm going to bring today's guest, Nina Perez, onto the stage, and she's going to introduce herself, and we're going to get to know her and have a great conversation.
Hi,
What's
everyone.
up, Nina?
This is so cool. I love that we're streaming in so many platforms. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nina Perez. I am a confidence guide and connection catalyst, is what I call myself, because I teach people how to connect with others in a deep, more meaningful way, from the bedroom to the boardroom, from strangers to, friends, from networking to building those business relationships that we need. So everywhere we go, there's people, we need to meet them, we need to connect with them. And I help you actually learn how and practice ways that you can do that. So if you're not confident or if you're feeling shy, then there's ways to build that kind of muscle and be able to walk into a room, connect with anybody, and then also be memorable so that others want to connect with you again and again and again. So that's what I do.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you talked about connections, right? Like that's your whole thing, is connecting, and I think in a day and age, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, like a lot of people lost that connection or lost that ability to connect with other people. And I'm truly a firm believer that the connections we develop with others in our community, with others on our social media channels, with others in general, right? Those connections can service them and service us and get us very far in life. So we actually
And
met.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was
Well,
just
I
gonna say.
wanted, I wanted to create a distinction between, like, there's connections and connections. So we definitely meet a lot of people and make a lot of connections, but how many of those connections and those people that we've met are really becoming like you are deeply connected with, like that you can call on the phone and then you can build deals and friendships. And so that's like, we may be really connected and know a lot of people, but we're not actually building relationships and have a meaningful connection with them. So I just wanted to make that distinction, that we may have lots of connections without connection, really.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a very important point to put out, because and now that you mentioned it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I don't want to connect with a lot of people. I want to
Mm-hmm.
connect with the right people, right? I talk about this all the time, like with anyone that works with me as one of my clients. Like, I don't just work with anybody. Like, you got to jump through some hoops to work with me, because I've been through hell and back, and I'm on a mission to save and help as many people as I possibly can. I can't help everyone, but I also know that my energy is protected, my time is protected, and the people that I work with, whether they're a client or the people that I call a friend, which I don't have a lot of people I call friends, like I have such a strong connection with them that those are the most important connections I have and I even need. So I think that's important too, to understand the distinction between a true connection with someone that is aligned with your values and your goals, and just connected, like you said, knowing other people that may not be aligned with that, and they're just a part of the community or the environment that we're in.
Yeah, and it's so important what you're talking about, because yeah, we don't have the energy to connect with all the people all the time. And when we do have a moment with them, you actually want to get deep quickly. You want to be able to vet, and you want to be able to know, in one conversation, do we share values? Do we have things in common? Do they get me? Are they my people? Are they like my tribe? Do we have a similar mission or synergy in our businesses? Like, these are things that sometimes people take a long time to get to, because they start with the small talk conversations of like, what do you do? Oh, who are you serving, and what do you want to do, and what's the goal, or whatever. When we kind of talk like at a superficial level and not get deep or even share vulnerably, like, this is what my mission is, this is what I feel, this is what I like, this is what I'm about. And so sometimes these conversations, they get kind of stale, or they get route and routine, and we ourselves get stuck in that vortex of answering, oh yeah, I'm a coach, or I'm this and that, and you're not actually sharing like who you are as a person. And people want to work with people and want to connect deeper with people that they feel like they have something in common and they have shared values, right? And so we need to have those conversations where we are sharing and we are going to the next level, but much quicker, you know?
Yes, you know, I love that you brought that up. I was literally just talking to my friend who's actually also someone that hired me to help him build his business, right? And we were just talking about this the other day, when it comes to social media content, right? Because I think that's one of the greatest tools to create that connection, but also to weed people out. Like, you go to my social media, you already know who Coach Paul is. There's no guess on how I talk, how I act, what my views are. Like, there's no get, like, you know, I went to prison, you know, I am a recovering drug addict, you know, I love my family, you know, I'm into fitness, like, you know that when you go to my social media, right? And that's because I talk on camera all the time, and I just tell my story, and I give away my experience, but also my humanity and who I am as a human being. And so I was talking with him about that. I was like, man, that's the greatest way to serve more people, is by being you on your social media channel, letting people see who you are, because then you're going to attract your tribe. You're going to get those right people in your circle, and the other people that are like, man, I can't, that Coach Paul guy, he's too blunt, he's too upfront. Like, cool, then you wouldn't be a good ideal client for me, because I'm going to tell you, you know, don't go out and eat over the weekend and drink beers on Fridays. Like, I'm gonna tell you that shit don't help with your fitness goals, you know. So don't sit here and be like, oh man, you know, like, I was gonna try to work with Coach Paul, but he's too blunt. That's just how I am, you know. And so I really like that you brought that up, and that you mentioned like getting to the point a lot quicker. And I think social media is a great tool to do that.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's why I love when people go live like we're doing, because now
Yeah.
people can sense who we are. Like, I go live every Monday in my magnetic mindset and movement Mondays. And I coach people, I tell people like, these are things that will make you more magnetic. These are movements that you want to add in your body language. And then I answer Q&A. And people can tell from having a conversation with me when they raise their hand and they ask questions, or even how I'm teaching, like, what is important. Of course, I share my story of how I actually build my confidence and charisma over time. I was very, very shy growing up. And even my mom the other day, she mentioned that she doesn't have a lot of pictures of me in certain times of my life, because I was just so shy that I would always hide behind people, and I just didn't want my picture taken, and I just didn't want to talk to, you know. And I have so many stories that I share in my lives every Monday about, you know, how I'm an introverted person that is able to be on stage, that is able to teach thousands of people, that is able to get up and dance and do other things that I do, right? So this is a great way to actually start getting to know people through social media. When they go live, that's who they are, right? That's live. It's, you can't pretend. And but then also, and I want to give maybe some tips here for people
Yeah.
when you are talking to people. One of the best ways to start connecting with people in a deeper way is to notice what you like about them and compliment them and share. I like this color or whatever. But a lot of people just stay in that level. Oh, nice shirt, nice tie, nice sweater. Oh, I like your shoes or whatever. Sometimes people go into that. Or maybe they'll say, oh, I like your smile or your energy, which is great. That's a better compliment.
Yeah.
But then go to the next level and share why you like it. Why does it impact you? Like, yes, this color yellow that this person's wearing, why do you like this color yellow? And share how it makes you feel or what it reminds you of. Maybe you're like, oh my God, you're reminding me of the sunshine that I was just in Mexico and I was just there, and your sweater set is reminding me of my vacation and just how much fun I had. And, thank you for that. And then so you're complimenting not just to that person, but also you're sharing a little bit of who you are through the compliment. And now that person is going to receive the compliment so much better, but also they got to know you just a little bit better because you shared either how you felt about it or why it matters to you or what impact it had on you. So you can layer your compliments and have them be more impactful than just, oh, I like what you're doing, or I like what you're wearing, or I like, whatever usually people say, oh, you're so pretty, or your hair, or whatever, or your muscles, whatever compliments you get, Coach Paul. You know what I mean? we can make those compliments more meaningful because we add a little bit of our heart, like who we are. This is why I like you. I love that you're blunt, because it makes me feel like people need to hear the truth. And I'm all about that. So if we have people like you and I who are like not going to beat around the bush and say, this is what you need to do, and this is how hard it is, and it's not easy, and it's a lot of work. I mean, I tell my clients all the time, even in my sales calls, I say, I can teach you the system, but you need to do the homework. You need to do the exercises. I'm like a huge believer of practice because my background is in dance. I've taught salsa, bachata, tango for 25 years, and I can see the progress when you do the reps, just like you with fitness. You can see that the muscles are growing, right? When people do the work.
Yeah.
And so many people, they want to kind of be around people and get coaches, but they're not actually, when it comes time to do action, they're blocked and whatever, and they're not actually wanting to do the work. And so it's so important for us to be blunt, just like you are, and tell people this is what it takes. And then that is the best kind of coach that doesn't let you just kind of, beat around the bush or take it easy and gets you results, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that literally happened to me yesterday. Literally, like, I had this woman come in. We had been talking on Facebook, and she came in and met with me yesterday, sat down, and we started talking about her fitness goals and what she wants to do with her life. And she was like, you know what? I've been watching your social media, and I want you to be my coach because I know you're not going to BS me. I know you're not going to give me a cookie cutter, same program every other coach is handing out. I know you're not going to coddle me when I make an excuse that I overate all weekend because I had a rough week at work. You're going to be like, okay, but you've been overeating your whole life and that's why you're overweight. Like, I'm going to tell people exactly how it is. And she's like, that's what I need. I don't need a coach that's like, it's okay. You ate 4 pieces of cake at your son's birthday party. Like, no, you eat a small piece because it's your son's birthday party, and then that's it. You don't need to eat 4 pieces, like, and so that's exactly what she told me yesterday. She's like, that's what I need. She's 54 years old. She wants to do her first bodybuilding competition. She's got
Nice.
two almost adult, teenage child and an adult child. Like, at 54 years old, she's like, I want to do a bodybuilding competition. I'm like, let's make it happen, and it's that level of awareness that we create through and through stuff like this, through going live. And that's why I have this podcast, because I want to bring more value to the audience, more value to the world. And so I've created this podcast where it's all about becoming better. And so what's the best way to become better? I can share my value, I can share my story, I can share all day long, right? And I do, but I also bring a lot of other amazing human beings onto the show to have conversations, So you kind of started diving into it a little bit, but like, talk a little bit more about your business, about what you do, and about how you serve your clients, how you help your clients become better.
Yeah. So my whole mission is about connection, is about helping people. Well, I mean, we have a loneliness epidemic. We have social anxiety now after COVID, and we have even ramifications from COVID that we don't even know what's going to happen over the next 10, 20 years, how the real impact it was on our nervous system, on our brain, and our emotional intelligence, all of that. And so my whole mission is to help people learn how to connect with others, because no matter what your goal is or your dream or whatever you're working on, you need people. So whether it's getting fit, you need a coach, and you need also a community that's going to like support you, and you need to also yourself, right? You need to better yourself. And so whatever you're doing, you need people. And actually, I believe people accelerate your growth. Sometimes you can do a lot of things alone, but the rubber meets the road when you're actually interacting with people. Like you can be like, oh, I'm so zen, but then you go see your mom, and then you're like, oh, zen's out the window. But I've been zen for the whole month. But then you have that one conversation with a parent or with your child or whatever, and now you're like triggered. And so people, I feel, for me, are the catalyst of what will make your dreams come true, and what we need to also even refine our skills and so on. So I'm all about connection. But I feel that there is, and my experience has been that sometimes it's hard to connect. We have blocks, we have fears, we feel anxieties in our bodies, and that physically make us have like heart palpitations, or we may have like, a lot of negative narratives and thoughts. And so I help people start with the body. So we get body aware of where you're feeling all of those tensions, where you're feeling like, I want to approach that girl and ask her out, or that guy, or I want to like make eye contact with that person, but I'm feeling like stopped by fear, by doubts, by lack of confidence, or negative stories or past experiences. So I help people go from body understanding, body awareness, to start changing their body language. Because when you start changing your body language, your posture, your head, the way that you move with your hands and stuff, that can create a lot more confidence, and who you really are can come through. And then body language, then we talk about, well, what is the way to communicate and have more connected conversations where you're sharing yourself, your stories, your opinions, your values, and also asking better questions so that others can feel like that they can share themselves as well. And so I go from the body language to the mindset, the inner language, to the conversation skills. We call it conversation agility, and I teach people how to have better conversations. And all of that makes them become more charismatic in their own natural way. Like, you don't have to be an extrovert if you're an introvert, person. Yeah. But you have ways that you can be more yourself and relaxed in your body, and then that will exude in your body language. And then asking better questions, sharing yourself in a different way with more storytelling, then people start becoming more relaxed around you and want to connect with you and share and talk. So I guide people through that. And sometimes I use dance, which is a very unique vehicle to get aware of your body, because, moving is just innate in us, but a lot of people, they don't realize how much dance can teach them. And I use salsa and tango, bachata, and I don't have to teach you how to dance, but we use some exercises from the dance world to get you in your body, to get you aware of where you're not fully self-expressed. So that's my unique way that I do it.
Yeah, don't expect me to start dancing.
Right. But we move. We all move, right?
I got 2 left feet, homie.
I have a whole bunch of right ones in my closet. You want? I can share.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so, and I love the way you broke that down and how you move them through those different levels. I think that's super important. A lot of people think like they need to go to like A to Z so quickly, where there's levels to it, and there's levels to growth, and there's levels to personal development. It takes time, but I think a lot of people, like you said, they're stopped by fear. They're stopped by that fear that's forcing them to not take action. Yeah. And since they don't take action, they don't see results, and they don't see results, which causes them to have more fear, and then they don't take action. Right. Yeah. And if they just take action and immediately start putting in that effort and start moving through those realms or those steps, like you just broke down, they're able to see that valuable action.
And it starts, like you're saying, with the you are becoming a better you. Like, it starts with you. So when I work with people, like, a lot of times people are like, oh, what should I ask? Give me a better question. And you can have the best question, but if your body language is showing people that you're scared or closed off or guarded, it doesn't matter that you ask the right question. It's not going to come through and be connecting. So we have to start with ourselves, our own bodies, our nervous systems, and our body language, which is the silent talker. It tells people a lot of things that you may not even realize that you're saying with your body language. And then you can move into, what are you going to say? What are you going to ask? And so on. But a lot of times people want, like, when they think, oh, I want better communication, or I want to network with that person. Yes, you do want to do that, but you also need to make sure that you are coming across in the most confident, and you feel great in your body and in yourself, and that energy exudes, and people will then, whatever you say will come across differently. Sometimes you're having a conversation with people and you're like, I think something is off here, even though that person didn't say anything about anything, but you feel something from them, either an energy is off or their body language is saying something. It doesn't match what their words are saying, so we want to get into alignment from ourselves to our energy, like our mindset, our energy, our body, and then what we say, all in alignment. And then, oh my God, it's so powerful. Now you're connecting with people, you're meeting people, and people just feel so great around you. They want to know more. They want to invite you. And this is how things accelerate when you are having great connection with people, things accelerate. People are like, you got to meet this person. You got to date my friend. You got to, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so. Here's another person for a client for you. Like, people rally around you when they feel like, I know this person. And for them to know you, you need to be in alignment. You need to have your mindset, your body language, and what you say all say the same thing.
Nice. And you think that a lot of that developing that alignment and creating that ability, it comes from like working on yourself, personal development, growth, things like that? Because I find like for myself, the more I work on myself, the more effort I put into becoming a better version of myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the more confident I have and the more I feel okay with being me, right? And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are not putting in, like you mentioned earlier, they're not putting in the work, right? They're not putting in the work. So then everything they do out there in the world is not their true self, right? They're pretending to be someone else because they're ashamed of who they are, or maybe they don't 100% like who they are because they're not putting in the work, and I find, like, for me, like, I used to hesitate to be blunt the way I am now, right? And that's because I hadn't built up the confidence, right?
Yes.
And this is what I found, right? I found, like, I'm a very blunt person. I don't sugarcoat things. I say things as they are. I'm not rude. Some people take it as rude, but it's not the intention of being rude, right? But what I found is that when I was so worried about, oh, someone's not going to like me because I said a certain thing that they didn't agree with about how they're living their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so worried about that, and I changed the wording or changed the way I would talk. And then what would happen is I would attract people that I didn't want to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would attract people that I didn't want around me. And I'm like, man, why I got this person right here, like, that's like not in alignment. You mentioned alignment, right? Not in alignment with what I want to do, what I need to do in my life. And what I found is this, because I was attracting the wrong people. It's because I was putting on a facade. Like, I was like, like this person that it wasn't. And when I started saying, you know what? I'm going to argue with people about fad diets. I'm going to argue with people about Diet Coke. I'm going to argue with people about excuses, BS excuses. And I'm going to show them that I think all of that is nonsense and that you can see amazing results no matter what excuse you come up with, because I sure have. And so have hundreds of people that have worked with me. And when I started doing that, I started getting out of the woodworks that people are like, oh, man, you like really hit home with that post you did the other day. And you just called me out, and I needed that. And it made me come out of my shell. And the people that are like, oh, no, Coach Paul said the F word, like, okay, it happens sometimes. Like, bye. And what happened is those are the people that, they'd hired me and then they wouldn't do the work, right? Because they thought I was going to just like do it for them. I don't know, man. I'm not going to eat the food for you. You got to eat it or not eat it in some cases, like,
yeah.
And so, like, I think that really resonates with a lot of what I believe. And I love that you brought that up, because it makes a lot of sense, right? That when you do the work, you find out who you are, and when you become who you're supposed to be, or who you actually are, and you let the world see that, you let the world see that, like, you create your tribe.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, sometimes people have this facade because they're have too many negative ideas and limiting beliefs in expressing who they are. They're too nervous or too anxious or too worried or too much the negative mindset. And you asked me, like, what do I believe to change that? And I kind of think it has three ingredients. First of all, you need to have like a plan and a strategy of how you're going to evolve this part of yourself. So if you are a shy person, but you want to create a big impact, and you need to network, you need to get on social media, you need to go live, you need to be seen, you need to write a book or whatever it is, and you're here and you need to get there, you need kind of like a plan and a strategy. And that's why coaches and guides and all these people that are us that help people are so important, because we already have a map for you. This is how you go from here to here. But then you need to be able to practice it. So you need to know what to do. And then you need to be able to practice it in so small incremental ways so that you don't shock your nervous system into a way of like panic. And then sometimes people go backwards back into their comfort zone because they overdid it. You know, sometimes I hear, oh, okay, I want to be social this month and I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to 20 people, whatever. What happens? They go out, they talk to 4 or 5 people, and then something happens. They had a weird vibe or whatever. And then they don't go out for the rest of the week or the rest of the month. Like they had a bad experience because they kind of did too much out of their comfort zone, too stretched, too. And it kind of like backfired, right? So I'm a big believer of like daily 1% increment, you know, daily increases,
Yeah, absolutely.
habitual processed lifestyle, like where you're like creating habits of movement or of direction. And it's not like a big step, but it's a little step, but it keeps adding and compounding. And also I'm a huge believer, and this is why we need community, of practicing, of like, you know, if you want to get good at asking girls out, like when you're walking down the street and approaching women, then you need to practice approaching women that are safe. Maybe you come to, I used to have these like, and I still kind of do sometimes, these group meetings where we practice asking each other questions and answering and practice like scenarios, right? And all of my coaching clients, I hire, so if I have a male coaching client, I hire females that they have to practice with 5 or 6 times before that they, you know, they have more courage now to do that in real life. And same with if I have a women client, then we hire different males. And so I believe that practice, and also if you have feedback from the practice, so that I'm there telling you, oh, you got to do this differently, you got to change this, just like you, like sometimes people are doing the exercise in the wrong way, right? So even though they know what the exercise is and they can watch a YouTube video and do it, without the right feedback, you could hurt yourself, right? You could go and have a negative experience, right? And so it's so important to have these 3 ingredients. Know what you need to do. What is the information? What is the change? What is the evolution that I need? And who can help me make that faster? And then create like these daily habits or daily practice of improvements where you're going to go slowly. And usually, you know, I have all those exercises that I give my clients to do. So I tell you, these are the daily habits. These are the daily things. But then practicing with other people where you get feedback. So you went out and you did that speech, what happened? You know, like what went wrong? What you need to learn? Like somebody that will give you feedback that is honest and blunt. And that's what you need, you know? It is so important. And I feel like if you have those 3 ingredients, of course you're going to succeed, you know, because you're covering all your bases. You're not just going out on your own. Like now somebody's saying, yes, this worked. And it's going to, and you can check if it matches what you experienced, you know? So when I teach people on how to become more memorable, you know, how do you know if you actually were more memorable, right? Like you might say, oh, I had a conversation, but I don't know if they remember me. And you have to wait till the next time they meet you. Do they know your name or not? Do they know what you do or not, right? So but if you actually have someone observing or like helping you or have scenarios where you can practice, then we can say, well, yes, this is gonna help. This is how this is gonna work for making you memorable, and so on, right? So yeah, I think having those 3 ingredients will make you accelerate any transformation that you're looking for yourself.
I love it. And you know what? I incorporate most of those 3 ingredients into my coaching as well. So I guess I'm on the right path.
Yeah, and this is why you're successful, right, Coach Paul? Because you have those 3 things that we need, that all people need.
Absolutely. I love it, Nina. Well, Nina, we are coming to the end of this conversation. This has been a great conversation. You've definitely brought a lot of value to the audience. Super grateful to have you on the show. I always like to ask at the end of the show, before we end this show, if you could just leave the audience with something. It could be a quote. It could be something valuable, an action step, something where they could just leave the podcast and be like, I'm going to go do that. Or that quote touched my heart, or something to just help the audience become better themselves. What would it be?
Well, right away, the quote that I hear every day in my head, and every time I go out, I think about it as an intention, is that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is a Maya Angelou quote. Yeah. And so when you go out there and you meet someone and you say hello and you connect with someone, think about how are you making them feel, how they're making you feel, and try to elevate it to a positive interaction. Like if you can compliment someone and do it a little bit better, give a little bit more of a compliment by sharing a little bit deeper of why, what's the impact, why you love it, what you might say, that's a beautiful, beautiful sweater. You have such sense of style. I think you're adventurous. And that's going to make somebody go like, yes, I am adventurous or whatever, right? So elevate just a tad more, make every interaction just a little bit more heartfelt. And people will remember you because that you touch their heart. I think that we can make a better world. So that's what I would say. Reach out to people and connect in a deeper, heartfelt way.
I love it. I love it. And can we get your social media handles? I will also have them in the show notes, but let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so Connect with Nina is my Instagram, and that's where I talk all about connection. And every Monday I'm live at 6 p.m. PST talking about magnetic mindset and movement. And then I also have a dance school where I teach online dance courses, salsa, tango, bachata. Dancetoday.fun is the Instagram handle. And you can find me on those too. And I answer my own DMs, so just connect with me there. And let's start this conversation.
I love it. Nina, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Coach Paul.
All right, y'all, that goes another episode of the Becoming a Better You podcast. As always, I appreciate everyone that tuned in, whether you watch this live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, all the other platforms. We're everywhere, right? Super grateful for everyone. Don't forget to go leave a 5-star review. Send me a message on Instagram, _coach_Paul. That's THE_coach_Paul. Because I'm the Coach Paul. Send me a message. Let me know if you like this episode. Let me know if you want to connect with Nina. Let me know anything you like more to hear about personal development, about growth. As always, I'm here to serve you and help you become better as I continue to become better. Peace and love, y'all.